Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lunch Table. My name's Evan. Today, I'm joined with Nick and Zach, and today we're going to be ranking the top 10 quarterbacks of all time. So it should be a good one. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe and to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at lunchtable.takes. And without further ado, we will get into the 10 spot. Nick, you can start the 10 spot.
So number 10. At first I thought this would be a hard selection, but when I was doing research, it became pretty clear to me. Number 10 for me is Brett Favre. He had a really good start to his career. Like his first, he was drafted by the Falcons. He threw one snap and it was an interception. And then he got traded to the Packers, and that's when obviously his career took off. Him and Mike Holmgren came together in '92, I believe it was, and completely changed the trajectory of Favre's career. A very, very known gunslinger. He was. Why'd you take the cover off the mic?
It's like a soul patch.
All right. Anyways, very known gunslinger. He is the ultimate gunslinger. He holds the NFL record for interceptions, which makes you think he's a terrible quarterback, but he wasn't. He won a Super Bowl in the mid-'90s. I think it was 96, but I'm not entirely sure. He's the last player to win 3 straight MVPs in the late 90s. When he retired, he had like the all-time passing yards record, but that got broken by a few other quarterbacks on this list that we'll get to. I think the big thing for me is his playoff performance after the late 90s was very, very up and down. Like, when you talk about Brett Favre today, you're like, okay, he's going to throw an idiotic interception in the postseason. Like, when Jordan Love threw that pick to lose against the Niners, I was immediately like, yeah, that's that Brett Favre in him. His postseason career after the late 90s is very up and down. He turned the ball over a lot. He's most respected for his Iron Man streak, but that will probably never get broken again because of all the health concerns with football now. He was obviously really good at his peak when he won 3 straight MVPs, but his lack of consistency in the postseason, as well as his low individual accolades, put him at number 10 for me.
All right, that's fair. We won't be in a yelling match quite yet.
Quite yet.
I got Breeze at 10. Drew Brees.
That's crazy. Oh,
How
that's
is that
wild.
crazy? How is that crazy?
10?
Yes.
Okay.
How is that crazy?
Continue.
Him and Tom Brady were battling back and forth like for most of their careers for like the all-time like stats, like leading in categories. He's won a Super Bowl, 13-time Pro Bowler. He's definitely at one of the top 10 all-time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think I should have had him higher, is what you're saying?
I think 10 is absurdly low.
I
for
understand.
him,
I
personally.
understand. I mean, it's a tough list, man. I
It
mean,
is a tough list.
I got guys that are above him that they've accomplished more win wise. But I mean, no, Drew Brees is like easy top 10. So I have him at 10.
We also all watched him play for a majority of his career, so
Yeah, and he was great. He was a great player for a very long time.
yeah.
I mean, you could put him anywhere in the like probably. Honestly, you
lower
could
half the top 10.
you
I
could
would
probably
say is valid.
you if you put him anywhere from 6 to 10, I would not blink an eye. I think he is definitely an all-time great quarterback by far. I mean, when I was making this list, I just had some other guys in here that I just thought accomplished more or were just like a better quarterback as like a quarterback, like positional player, you know.
That's fair.
But all-time great by far and away. One of my personal favorite quarterbacks, actually, that I have seen in my life. I'm a huge Drew Brees fan. Big fan. Great guy. But I got him at 10.
I actually just saw a clip of Drew Brees and Cam Jordan riding the new ride at Disney. It was hilarious. That's not on topic.
Nah, that's not on topic.
But it was
Both those guys are hilarious.
It was very fun.
Cam Jordan is pretty fun.
Cam Jordan's a funny guy.
Yeah.
All right, my 10 is John Elway.
I might have had him a little high.
Elway, obviously Hall of Famer. He was inducted in 2004, 9-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champ. 1987 Super Bowl MVP. He won an MVP as well. He played 234 games his career, racking up 51,475 yards, 300 touchdowns, and 3,407 rushing yards. I think obviously he was more of a mobile quarterback. I think Elway would thrive in today's game. I think he would be really good in today's game because I was watching a lot of his highlights, and I mean he was rolling out of the pocket like a lot and like making plays that we normally see quarterbacks nowadays making. And I mean to be doing that in like the 80s was unheard of, and so he I think he's a phenomenal quarterback. He was the number 1 pick.
Colts drafted him, and then he was
Colts did
famously
draft
like,
him.
"I'm not playing for the Colts."
Yeah.
He didn't.
Not quite sure why we drafted him if he came out and said he's not playing for the Colts, but that's neither here nor there. We drafted Peyton Manning and John Elway, and they've won more Super Bowls for the Broncos than the Colts. It's a real stat.
It is true. But he had seven straight seasons throwing over 3,000 yards and rushing for over 200, which was pretty good
For the 80s.
for the 80s. Yeah. But he would only win 1 MVP as a quarterback. But I still think he's obviously an elite quarterback and deserves a spot on this list.
As I'm looking at my list right now, I feel as though I should have probably focused a little bit more on this because I'm seeing some orders here. And
Well, let's hear
not
your
a
number
fan.
9, Weave. Who you got at number 9?
I have Favre at number 9, so
That's fair.
I'm not going
That's
to
a
talk.
fair
I'm not going
placement.
to talk too much because you had him there. But yeah, my 6 to 10 is just out of order. I think now that I'm looking at it, but I've already said it, so I got to stick with it now.
All right.
But yeah, I got Favre at 9, so
That's fair.
yeah,
I'm not going to hate on that.
yeah.
You doing your 9, or you want me to do my 9 first?
I can do my 9, I have Steve Young. Steve Young obviously was the predecessor to Joe Montana.
He was the successor to Joe Montana.
Yes, he was the successor to Joe Montana. 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time MVP. Super Bowl MVP, finished his career with 33,121 yards, 232 touchdowns. He was a lefty, which we always
That's true.
like. Yeah, I mean, he was a phenomenal quarterback. He was very complete. He could run the ball. He could throw the ball really well. He had a great arm. And yeah, it's just crazy how right when Montana moved on, I'm pretty sure, his first full season in San Francisco in 1992, they went 14-2 and he won the MVP. And then they won the Super Bowl 2 years later. So, where he threw 6 touchdown passes, which was
Still standing NFL
which is an
record
NFL record.
in a Super Bowl.
So it's just crazy how after it's kind of how like the Packers were, which we'll get into them, but how you go from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another, and he just kind of passes the torch and continues the greatness, and that's exactly what Steve Young did. And Steve Young, phenomenal player. So yeah, I got him at 9.
All right. Number 9, I have John Elway. I have him above Brett Favre because I think he was more consistent in the postseason when his team actually made it there. I was talking to my dad because obviously we didn't see John Elway play, not Joe Elway. We didn't see John Elway play. My dad was like, watching him play, you knew this guy was better than his stats. He was like, it's similar to how Josh Allen is viewed today, where it's like his stats are not like the most eye-popping thing in the world, but you watch him play and you're like, this guy can score a touchdown on literally any play.
Yeah.
His counting stats aren't great. I think he only threw for like 300 touchdowns. But he had terrible team support throughout the 80s. Whenever he went to the Super Bowl, his team got demolished. The Niners beat them 55-10 in a Super Bowl one time. That's not Elway's fault.
Yeah.
And obviously he only won 1 MVP during the 80s, but he kind of redeemed his legacy with his back-to-back Super Bowl wins the last 2 years of his career when the Broncos were loaded.
Yeah.
Like unfairly stacked in 97 and 98.
Yeah.
He won Super Bowl MVP his final game of his career. It's more due to the eye test. Like, this guy, if you watch him, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And like you said, I'd love to see him play in today's NFL because I think he would thrive. I also thought it would be really interesting if you switch Joe Montana and John Elway, if they would have had the same success on the teams that they went to. Because that's a big topic when talking about John Elway is if he was put in the system that the 49ers had, during the 80s, would he have...
He might be the second best.
Yeah, would he have done what Montana did, if not surpassed it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think John Elway, his efficiency is like, on a per-throw basis, not as high as the rest of the guys above him, but obviously still an all-time great quarterback, easy Hall of Famer. When you think of the Broncos, you think of John Elway.
That is true. He is the Bronco.
Bronco
Yeah.
quarterback.
8.
Number 8.
Sure. Nick, you can start.
All right, at number 8, I have Steve Young. I think Steve Young. I did extensive film research on Steve Young. This guy was absurd. Like watching him play, he got drafted to Tampa Bay in the early '80s, and he got traded to the 49ers when Joe Montana was in the back half of his career. Absurd. If you told people who were watching the 49ers in the mid-'80s that Steve Young would come in and be just as good as Joe Montana, they would have told you were crazy.
Yeah.
This guy he was mobile, he had a rocket of an arm, a great throw on the run, fantastic decision maker, he could do it all. The only thing that stopped him from winning more rings is the Cowboys being the Cowboys.
The 90s Cowboys.
He lost to them a few times, and outside of 94 when he won his ring through 6 touchdown passes in the Super Bowl, he wasn't that great in the postseason.
Yeah.
But film-wise, this guy was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Arguably better than Joe Montana in terms of just an eye, watching him play perspective. But in terms of the individual accolades and stuff, he also got a late start. He doesn't have as high of, counting stats and whatnot.
Yeah.
But this guy was the real deal. If he was the Niners quarterback throughout the 80s, he would have been much higher on this list. He would have easily won another Super Bowl or two.
Yeah.
And stake a legitimate claim to the top 5. So
sure.
Steve Young was a monster. I have him at number 8. I think that's fair, personally.
All right. I have Aaron Rodgers at 8.
What?
Is that once again too low?
Oh my good lord!
I got Aaron Rodgers at 8.
You're gonna say some BS like Sid Luckman at number 4, and I'm gonna be like, bro. That is absurd.
My top 4 is completely reasonable.
Probably.
I've actually said my top 4 on this podcast before. So my top 4 is... Actually, my top 5 is totally reasonable, honestly. So I think this is totally fair. I got Aaron Rodgers at 4. 4-time MVP.
You mean 8?
Or, 8. Yeah. 4-time MVP. I thought you were saying 8 MVPs. I was like, what are you talking
He does
about?
not have 8 MVPs.
He'd be higher if he had 8 MVPs.
He would be number 1 if he had 8 MVPs.
So he's got 4 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl. He has had 0 postseason success. And yes, that is on the defense. Not all on the defense. But the defense played a part in that, but still.
95% on the defense.
I haven't witnessed him get over the hump except for one time. But, he's still an all-time great player.
I think you have a guy above him that got over the hump 0 times, so I don't understand. Do you not have Dan Marino in your top 10?
No, I do.
Okay. Just had to make sure.
Nick's gonna leave.
No, I do. But he made... Well, yeah, I guess I should. He didn't win any. But, yeah, I got Rodgers at 8. Whatever.
All right, my 8. My 8, I have Brett Favre at 8. We kind of already talked about it, but a couple things to note. Obviously, he went, like Nick said, 321 consecutive starts, which is pretty impressive. He won 3 consecutive MVPs between 1995 and 1997. He went to 2 Super Bowls, only winning 1 of them. But he finished his career with... Son of a gun.
Finished his career with a lot of passing yards. I can pull it up.
Well, I have it all pulled up.
It was 71,838 passing yards and 508 touchdowns. 11-time Pro Bowler.
Yes.
3-time first-team All-Pro.
I was going to say that my computer's being stupid.
3-time.
That's
3
4.
3
There
time.
you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was kind of one of the first improviser quarterbacks, I feel. I was watching some of his film today, and he was making plays that you see guys like Mahomes and them make now, where they scramble around, they have 2 guys on them, they throw a shuffle pass 10 yards, and then the guy catches it in the back of the end zone, or Just plays that are unorthodox. That was what Brett Favre was doing. Yeah, I mean, phenomenal quarterback. You guys kind of hit a lot of what you said on him. So
At his peak, he was fantastic.
yeah, but
Once 2000 hit, he was very, very up and down.
He also retired in like 2000.
He retired like 4 separate times in
Yeah.
the 2000s.
But
He retired, went to the Jets, retired again, went to the Vikings, retired,
but he
came
is
back
just
to the Vikings.
he's just
then
not
actually
known
retired.
for that though. He's known as a Packer.
Yeah. He's known for other things that I can't say on here, or else I'll get sued. But
Oh man, gosh, you really are gonna hate my list.
number 7.
well, I can't even see my list right now because my computer's frozen. So.
Yes.
No. We'll Weaver do your number 7 while he's fixing his computer.
Oh, you want me to start with 7?
Yeah, you start with number 7.
Okay.
It's like actually not doing anything.
Turn it off.
I did. I've done that like 3 times.
Shut the screen and lift it back up.
Yeah.
Alright, go. I'll figure it out.
Here we go. I'm ready for another hate session here, but whatever. I got Patrick Mahomes at 7.
I don't hate that. I disagree with it, but
Yeah, because you have him at like 2.
I don't hate it.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes is at 7. This is totally fair, considering he's only played in the NFL for 7 years now. He's very young in his career, but he is a all-time great. If he retired today, he would still be a Hall of
He
Famer.
would walk into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. He would be a first ballot Hall of Famer
Yeah,
if
he
he
would.
retired today.
But I just think you tend to get ahead of yourself a little much. He's only been in the league 7 years, so I'm not ready to say he's the second best quarterback of all time. But he has been phenomenal this far in his career. 2 MVPs. Obviously, he's hosted the AFC Championship for 6 straight years, and he's been to 4 of those Super Bowls. And won 3, unfortunately. So
3 Super Bowl MVPs.
he won it. Yeah,
He won 3 Super Bowl MVPs.
Yeah, he did. So yeah, I mean, he's undoubtedly a great player. He's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. He's the best football player on the world at this current time. So yeah, I mean, everyone has watched him play. Everyone knows who he is. You watch him play; he's an absolute game changer. Like, you just know he's going to do something when it's a clutch moment. He's going to come through. He's a great player. I love his play style. He's a real run and gun guy. He's a very fun player to watch. I like him. I'm a fan. I mean, he's only been in the league 7 years. So.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, he is undoubtedly an all-time great player, though. So I got him at 7.
At number 7, I have Drew Brees. I think putting him lower than 7 is disrespectful, to be full-on honest with you. This guy was a menace in terms of playing at the quarterback. He retired. Hold on, I got his stats. He threw over 80,000 passing yards.
Yeah, I noticed that after I said he
And
was at 10.
571. He was a 13-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I noticed all of that, and then I immediately regretted saying he was 10. If I had this back, I would put him probably at like 7 or 8.
The reason why I have
6
him
even, honestly.
above number 10, because everyone likes to trash on him for never winning an MVP. That's not Drew Brees' fault. There were like 3 or 4 years where he was more than good enough to win an MVP. He just coincided with quarterbacks having like all-time great seasons.
Well, there's like 4 or 5 quarterbacks on this list that were in the exact same era
Yeah.
as he was.
Yeah.
And like in their primes at the same time.
He, like they're like 2009, he probably very easily could have won MVP with Peyton Manning, had a historic season. 2011, he had like the top 3 quarterback season ever, efficiency wise, and Aaron Rodgers had the number 1 quarterback season ever, efficiency wise. So Aaron Rodgers won MVP. He could have won MVP in like 2012 or 2013. There were numerous years he could have won it. This guy, the reason why he's not higher is because
reshuffle my entire list.
I do think play style matters a little bit, and he was not like a run and gun type of guy. He was more of a like dink and dunk quarterback, which like it works, but I'm gonna factor it in a little bit.
Yeah.
In order to truly be one of the greatest of all time, you need to do things that other quarterbacks just can't do.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you gave other quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford, Sean Payton's system, Matthew Stafford could have had similar success. But Drew Brees, fantastic quarterback. Obviously, we all saw him play. He beat my Colts in the Super Bowl one time
He did.
and won Super Bowl MVP. So I know how good he is. He missed the playoffs a few times during his prime. That's more due to the Saints' incompetence as a front office. He had like the 30th, 31st, and 32nd ranked defense in like 3 of the 5 years he missed the postseason. It was absurd.
Yeah, the Saints front office is kind of
They weren't great
not
for a
super
little bit there.
intelligent for the most part.
And he very easily could have another ring if the Minneapolis Miracle didn't happen or
Yeah.
the no call against the Rams.
The
happened.
egregious no call pass.
Yeah.
One of the worst calls in the history
He very
of football.
easily could have another ring if the refs weren't stupid and a literal once in a generation type play
That
didn't
was
happen.
quite possibly the worst call in the history of football.
It's not a discussion. That might be the worst call in the history of sports. I'm being so serious.
That was the most
If
blatant
you
pass
haven't,
interference.
I was
seen
going
it,
to say that one, or for me, one of the worst calls I've ever seen is the Ohio State Clemson fumble.
no. I agree with you personally, but we're also Ohio State fans, so I'm not going to count that.
I think
That's-
most people would say
That's
a bad
more
call.
of a bang bang type play. If you haven't seen the Rams Saints no call in the 2018 NFC Championship game, look it up on YouTube, and I want you to tell us if it's a flag or not. If you come up with
If you say it's not a flag, then
I
you
want
just
you to-
don't
Was
know
that
anything
the
about
year
sports
that-
at all.
that was 13-3 in the Super Bowl, and the Patriots won.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't that the year
Yes.
where the Rams didn't score a touchdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling me if the Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas in his prime get to that Super Bowl, they're going to put up 3 points against the Patriots?
Yeah, that was a dang good Saints team.
Yeah,
I remember
that's-
watching that team.
That
was
Saints
a fun
team
to
would have
watch.
beat
Because
the
that was
brakes off the
prime
Patriots.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, well, I think that was Offensive Player of the Year, Michael Thomas.
Prime Cam Jordan, all
Yeah,
that.
that was
Mario Davis was in his
Marshawn
prime.
Lattimore was in his prime on
Yeah.
that team too. That was a heck of a team.
Yeah,
that Saints
and
team.
the refs screwed them.
Yeah, that was such a bad call that it's very suspiciously bad.
Yeah.
You wonder if the refs weren't involved in illegal
The
activities.
city of New
that's
Orleans.
how bad of a call
The
this
city of
was.
New Orleans tried to file a petition to the NFL to get the game replayed. That's how bad the call
Yeah,
was.
it was that bad. It was that bad.
Disregarding that call, Drew Brees, phenomenal quarterback. We all saw him play for his entire career. Didn't make a name for himself until he got to New Orleans. He was on the Chargers for a few years, but then he got traded. And him and Sean Payton became one of the greatest quarterback head coaching duos ever. So
Yeah,
I think he's well warranted of a spot in the top 10.
yeah, which I would agree. And I gotta change this up.
You're
a little
not.
bit.
No, you don't. get to
Yeah,
change
I am changing it. So Breeze is going to 6, and I'm shifting everyone down a notch. My official list from 6 to 10 is Breeze at 6, an unnamed person at 7, Mahomes at 8, Rodgers at 9, Favre at 10. That's my official list. I told him I was very busy today. I made this list while I was watching a show. I really wasn't super focused on it. But that's
That's what I did with my movie list.
Yeah, 'cause
just
I-
kinda threw something together.
yeah, because I'm looking at this right now. 1 through 5 is perfectly fine, but 6 through 10, it's not great. So I'm shifting that. Breeze is 6. I'm bumping everyone else down. But for the sake of the video, do whatever you want.
Well, I can't. Okay. All right, my 7 is also Drew Brees. You had a lot of this stuff, but when Drew Brees retired, he had a bunch of records, but now he is second all time in career passing yards, second in all time career touchdown passes, second in career pass completions, and completion percentage in a career, and he holds the record for most consecutive games with a touchdown pass.
So he's second in everything to a guy that we'll get to here soon.
Yes. and that's just the beginning. He still holds the record for best completion percentage in a single season with 74.4%
I forgot that he had that. That's absurd.
in 2018.
That is a really high
And he is tied for most passing touchdowns in a single game with 7. He is also one shy for most passing yards in a season in 2011 with 5,476
yeah,
yards.
that's the season I was
which
talking
is
about.
one shy of Peyton Manning's record in 2013. But yeah, you kind of talked a lot about him, but 13-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, 1-time Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP, 2-time Offensive Player of the Year, 80,358 career yards, 571 touchdowns. His resume kind of speaks for itself, and Nick, you hit a lot of it, but yeah, he definitely deserves to be in the top 7 for sure. All right.
You do your number 6.
I'll do
first,
my number
Evan.
6?
Yeah.
My number 6 is Dan Marino. Dan Marino, obviously, Hall of Famer. He got inducted in 2005. 9-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He won the MVP in 1984. Finished his career with 61,361 passing yards and 420 touchdowns, but unfortunately never got over the hump and never got a Super Bowl ring. But he is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. In just his second year in the NFL, he threw for over 5,000 yards. He won MVP. That was the year he won the MVP. He made it to one Super Bowl, but lost. Who did he lose to?
The Niners.
Oh, right. He played Joe Montana. And yeah, when you talk about great quarterbacks, he's one that you have to have in that conversation. Just phenomenal player. So yeah, I have him at 6.
Who's your number 7? Who's your number 7?
Oh,
The blank name.
Yes,
You had
my
Bruce's
number 7. I got John Elway here. You guys have both already talked about him, but I just think he was a very physically gifted and great player. His stats don't show it as much, but, I mean, dude's been to 5 Super Bowls, won 2 straight. When you think of the Broncos, you immediately think of Elway, like we said earlier. I mean, he's just a very talented and gifted quarterback, like your dad said. I would agree with that.
My dad watched his whole career.
Yeah, so, I mean, he knows better than all of us. I mean, we haven't watched half these guys play. So, I mean, it's like, but from what I know, he was a very gifted player. So I've got him sitting in the 7 spot.
Well, it's like we said, if you watch him play, he resembles a lot of how modern day quarterbacks are.
Yeah, for sure. I think he would fit in quite well nowadays.
He would thrive.
Yeah, he would be a fun one to watch nowadays. There's a lot of these guys that I wish I could have been able to watch play.
Yeah.
But
was he the owner of the
I think he was the
GM.
Yeah, he was like
I know,
he
had
was the
some-
director of football operations.
yeah,
there
he
for a
was
bit, I
somewhere
think.
up in
'Cause he
their
was there when they won the
franchise
Super
there.
Bowl, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he won
2016.
with Peyton Manning. Yeah, so he got another ring there. But as a player, he won 2. He went to 5 though, which is still pretty dang impressive. There, you go to 5 Super
He
Bowls.
lost to the Cowboys. He got demolished by the Cowboys
Yeah.
and the Giants and the Niners, but
Yeah,
he
which
came through in the end.
you hit on them there. I mean, winning 2 straight is pretty dang impressive. So that's. I mean, Mahomes is the only other one I can think of like
Brady.
that. Brady, yeah. It's an exclusive group to be in.
It is an exclusive group
So,
of people.
Yeah, so I got him at officially 7.
My number 6 is also Dan Marino. You touched on it. I don't think we understand how. First of all, like when you talk about great athletes that never won a ring, Dan Marino is the first name that comes up for good reason. I don't think we understand how absurd his 1984 season is. He threw for 5,084 yards, 48 touchdowns, and 17 picks in 1984.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
That would win MVP by a landslide today.
Yeah, if you took those stats and put it in like today's stats, that would be
It wouldn't even be a contest.
like 6,000 yards.
Yeah.
That would probably be the touchdown
You
record.
slap that on Patrick Mahomes, you say he goes 13-4, he wins the MVP unanimously. It's not even close.
You slap that on any quarterback and they win the MVP.
It's absurd.
Yeah, threw for 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns.
Yeah, all he
like
had,
seriously, convert that to today. That's like 6,000 yards and probably
it's the equivalent
pushing
of a guy
like,
throwing
pushing like
6,000
60
yards.
pushing like 60 touchdowns.
Yeah, it is
Who do
revolutionary.
that, man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
That would be like NFL.
That was just also his second season.
Yeah, that was his
yeah,
second
that was
season
the
in
year
the
with the
league.
Super Bowl.
Dan Marino, ultimate gunslinger. Like, you talk about a guy who, like, that dink and dunk crap, that wasn't his style.
Yeah.
He was throwing that ball down the field,
Throwing
into
bombs
double coverage,
and-
tight windows, all that. Like, this guy had a rocket.
Oh
It
yeah.
was absurd.
Oh yeah.
The reason why he's not higher is I feel like if you're truly that guy, you will get your team over the hump at least one time, which all the other quarterbacks I have ahead of him did at some point in their careers. It's not entirely his fault he never won a ring, but I mean, after like 1988, his efficiency fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Especially in the postseason. Like, his losses in the postseason. His final career game was a 63-7 loss to the Jaguars in the playoffs.
Holy crap.
In, 1999 or whatever it was.
That's rough. That's rough.
But, I mean, at his peak, Dan Marino's, top 2 or 3 ever.
Yeah.
It was absurd.
And then there's those Dolphins fans. And Dan Marino's the best of all time.
I don't think I agree with that. But
Heck of a play.
if there is one quarterback I would want to see in today's NFL, it is Dan Marino without hesitation.
He would just light everyone else up, probably.
It'd be really impressive to see, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think 6 is a fair spot for him.
Yeah.
Number 5.
I'll go.
All right.
So, well, yeah, I guess my, a fish.
You're number 5 because
I'm
you had
on
Breeze
5.
at 6.
I did, because
You changed it.
I had to switch the orders, so I wasn't.
Save his credibility.
It wasn't an embarrassingly bad list, so yeah. So I'm on 5 then, I guess. And I also have Dan Marino at 5.
All right.
For all of the same reasons that we all just discussed. He was a gunslinger. And he was really one of the first of that kind.
He revolutionized quarterback.
Also, that gunslinging position.
Dan Marino was the only quarterback to beat the 85 Bears. That's
Yeah.
a real stat. He was the only the Dolphins were the only team that beat him that year.
Yeah, so Dan Marino talent-wise is probably top 3. But just the fact that he didn't win a Super Bowl kind of brings it down a little bit. And it's not he only went to 1.
He didn't even make another one.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
it's second season.
Yeah, that's a little bit disappointing, but I mean, still, he's a heck of a player. I mean, just if you look at him as a player, just unreal talented player. Like we just kind of said literally a second ago. In today's NFL, he would light it up. So he was a great player, very very talented guy. Kind of like you said, a trailblazer for the gunslinging quarterback position. So he'd have been a fun one to watch.
He would have.
Shout out to the 70s and 80s Dolphins fans that say he's the GOAT. So.
He's not, but he's very good.
Yeah.
All right, you want me to go?
You can if you want.
All right, my 5 is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's obviously still playing. He's 40?
I think he's
He's gonna be 40.
I think he is 40,
He's
yeah.
40.
Or turning 40.
But, I mean, his career's kind of coming to an end, but he can still
We'll see.
still add to his resume. But as of today, his resume stands at 10-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, 4-time MVP, Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champion, 59,000 career passing yards, 475 touchdowns. Yes, he's only won 1 Super Bowl, but he is still one of the most talented quarterbacks. And like we said, his defenses were the reason why he hasn't been for majority of the time. But yeah, he hasn't been able to get over the hump recently, but he's still one of the best quarterbacks. I mean, he came right after Favre left, kind of started that trend of sitting guys for a couple years and then bringing them in. And he, I mean, he's won, how many did I say? 4 MVPs, which is second most in history. Yeah, he's still kicking, so he's probably going to add.
He is still kicking.
He's going to add obviously more yards and touchdowns. I doubt he's probably not going to win another MVP unless he just goes ballistic this year. But
I don't think it's impossible.
It's not
for him
impossible.
to win another MVP.
It's definitely not impossible.
But
I don't think it's going to happen.
There's a handful of guys that stand in his way.
outside of the one Super Bowl win, because with his talent, he probably should have more. He has a pretty stacked resume. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, 4 MVPs is a little bit out there.
Yeah, well, did
pretty
he win
good.
2? He won 2 straight.
Yes, he did win 2 straight.
2020, 2021.
Yes, he did.
Back to back.
Brady should have won in 2021, though, I will say.
I don't know.
I'd
have to do a deep dive.
2021 was the year that Brady had his best statistical season of his career.
No, it wasn't.
He went crazy.
Well, I mean, I think he threw for 5,300 yards, but they also played an extra game. So
either way though, Brady went crazy that year.
He did.
I was honestly shocked he didn't.
He did.
I remember watching the ceremony that year, and I was like, wow. I was genuinely shocked he did not win it that year.
That's fair.
Well, because Rodgers, he's only, how many Super Bowls has he been to? Just
Just one.
Just one,
He's only
right?
been to one.
Yeah.
He won it, unlike Dan Marino, which is why he doesn't get the no rings crap.
Yeah.
But
He's just been to the NFC Championship a bunch of times, but
Yeah.
couldn't get past the hump.
Yep.
But yeah, I think with his talent, he should have more rings than he does. But
Yeah.
like you said, he has one, so he has that over Dan Marino, which is why he's a little higher.
I also have Aaron Rodgers at number 5. The big thing for me about Aaron Rodgers is all the stuff that Patrick Mahomes is doing now, Aaron Rodgers was doing when Mahomes was in middle school. Like, everyone's like, oh, Mahomes created this XYZ archetype quarterback. No, he didn't. No, he did not. Aaron Rodgers was the guy that created this XYZ type quarterback. This run and gun, on the run, throw into absurd windows, just improvise plays
That
wherever
is
you
true.
can. That was Aaron Rodgers. That
Yeah.
was not Patrick Mahomes.
That is true.
Also, he is the best quarterback at taking care of the football in NFL history.
That's also true.
He does
He
not.
threw like what 4
I
picks the
think
one
he-
year he won like. Well, I think it was 2021 when he won.
Yeah, he threw 4 picks.
Yeah, he finished the year with like 4 interceptions. That's actually crazy.
he has 105 interceptions for his career.
Yeah, that's insane.
That is absurd.
Yeah,
And obviously, like 4-time MVP, 4-time first team All Pro.
I probably should have put him higher too.
One
I
time-
have like old people biased in this list.
That's
Like
fair.
looking at it, like
One time,
to be totally real. with you.
second team All Pro. Obviously, he had a historic postseason in 2010.
Yeah.
When they won the Super Bowl, he won Super Bowl MVP, and then he followed it up with arguably the greatest season by a quarterback ever in 2011. On a per throw basis, Aaron Rodgers' 2011 season is by far the best regular season a quarterback has ever had.
Aaron Rodgers' career interception percentage, so is with a minimum of 14 attempts, is 1.4. So
That is ridiculous.
yeah,
That is 1 out of every 100 throws.
Oh man,
Approximately. Also, before 2021 and Aaron Rodgers' playoff losses, what do you think the average amount of points his defense gave up was?
30,
33.
35. 35 points per game
close enough.
in his playoff losses.
Yeah, that's
And the ones where they didn't give up 35 points per game, you want to know what happened? It was like 2013 against the 49ers when I think the Niners were just
was
a better
that Jim
team.
Harbaugh's Niners with Colin Kaepernick.
That was the year after they went to the Super Bowl. That was the year they lost to the Seahawks in the NFC.
oh, that's right.
So Kaepernick was still playing, but that
Yeah,
wasn't the
yeah,
year they went
yeah.
to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That was kind of. I think Aaron Rodgers.
that was the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers like broke his
was when
collarbone
Richard
that year.
Sherman-
Richard Sherman.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was against the Niners. Yeah.
When you broke a sorry a receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're gonna get. Legendary post game interview.
Dude,
But-
I missed the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, that was an insane team.
The Legion
man.
of Boom gave me PTSD as a child, bro. But back to Aaron Rodgers. The 3 times that they actually like did something defensively. First time was 2013 against the 49ers. He led a game-tying field goal drive, only to never see the ball again. 2014 was against the 2016 was against the Seahawks in the NFC title game. That was the Brandon Bostic game.
Yeah.
Not his fault at all. And then 2015, he led a game-tying Hail Mary on the final play of the game against the Cardinals, only to never see the ball again.
Yeah, that the NFL's overtime rules are so stupid.
That screwed us
Just
up.
play it like college.
They changed them.
They
but-
should change it for the regular season too, dude. It's so dumb.
And then every other postseason game, like his first ever playoff game, his defense gave up 51 points against the Cardinals. Against the Giants in 2012, defense gave up 37 points, and his receivers dropped like 5 passes.
Man, how does this happen to
I-
this guy? I mean,
The
what?
only playoff loss that Aaron Rodgers has been at fault for was 2021 against the 49ers.
Yeah,
That's the only one.
that was an ugly.
That's
game.
the only one in his entire career.
That was what, second round?
Yeah, that was
was
the
a
year that
divisional
the Packers was the 1 seed, and then
Yeah.
the Niners. That was the year where they was like, our special teams are going to cost us, and I was like, nah, your team's too good. And then it actually did end up costing them.
2021. That was we saw the Packers that year live.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the
that
Super
was
Bowl year.
that was the
Evan
that was the game
McPherson.
when Devontae Adams had like 40 some odd fantasy points.
I just remembered Evan McPherson and
Mason Crosby.
Mason Crosby could not kick a field goal from
Yeah,
that
that
line.
was
They both shafted like 20 yarders.
I remember
That
that
was so
It went
frustrating.
to like, you know, like it went to overtime. And
Yeah,
they
there was
kept continually missing.
There was
short
like,
field goals.
yeah, there was literally like 2 minutes in overtime left until somebody finally won that game.
Yeah.
I remember.
we lost that game.
Yeah, I remember that game, and the Bengals won the coin toss. And I distinctly remember looking to Evan and my parents and both saying, this is exactly what we want. Burrow with the ball in his hands in overtime. This is what we want. And immediately, first play, threw a pick. Immediately interception. I was like, all right, that's great. But then Mason Crosby shanked the field goal. We got another chance.
And then Evan McPherson shanked.
I wasn't at that game, but I do remember that game.
That was a crazy
I do know that after that game, Roman...
That was the game when Burrow rolled out and had that nuclear bomb to Jamar Chase for the touchdown. Remember that? That was a fun game. Yeah. That was a good game.
I remember after that game, Roman, shout out Roman, was like, we're going to the Super Bowl this year. And I was like, bro, you're crazy. He's like, I'm telling you, we're going to the Super Bowl this year. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then it actually happened. And then the Bengals actually made the Super Bowl that year.
Shout out Roman.
That was one of the craziest takes I've ever heard in my life. But yeah, that was
that was a good game, though.
I think his 2021 season, he threw like 36 touchdowns and 4 picks.
Yeah.
I think he also missed like 2 games because he had COVID, too.
Yeah.
I think he did. I think he
was
did.
it 2020 when he had COVID?
Well, he also, everyone missed time in
Yeah,
2020.
37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Yeah. But he missed a game or two because he got COVID again, like midway in 2021. And that was when Jordan Love came in and kind of like gave the Packers like, oh, we might actually have something.
Yeah, because that was why I liked Jordan Love, because I'd seen him play a couple of games and I was like, this guy's not bad.
Touchdown pass.
Yeah, it's 1 touchdown in 3 games.
I was right.
I
was right.
But I mean, Aaron Rodgers, 1 ring, not his fault. He doesn't have more. I will be interested to see how he's remembered. Either as an all-time great like he should be, or a hippie weirdo that should have won more than he did, which is how I think people are going to remember him. Like
He'll be an all-time
all the like 6th graders right now, when they get to our age, are going to be like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is trash. He only won 1 ring, and I'm going to have to be like, you have no idea how good Aaron Rodgers is.
Well, because all those 6th graders nowadays just saw Aaron Rodgers on his darkness retreat and like
his ayahuasca.
Well, he's currently not with the team right now. He has not shown up to many camp games.
He can do what he wants.
He really is an interesting individual.
Future vice president.
Yeah, there was a time where he was potentially not going to play this season because he was going to be
RFK Jr.'s running mate.
I mean, he really is quite an interesting individual, but he's a heck of a football player.
As a quarterback, top 5 easily for me.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Arguably the most talented quarterback to ever play. I don't think that's a hot take at all in terms of his natural gifts that he's got.
Natural ability.
Could be, yeah.
All right, number 4.
Number 4. Should I just rip the Band-Aid off?
I'm going to go last for this one.
All right.
I can go first. I'll go first. I got Johnny Unitas at number 4.
Yeah, there's the old bias.
I don't know if it's necessarily...
I thought about putting him on my list.
I
saw him on a lot of
lists. I was going to say, I don't know if it's necessarily an old bias. Like, he was number 4 or higher on most lists that I looked at.
3 or 4 on a lot of lists.
Johnny Unitas basically invented the modern quarterback, what we see today.
I was going to give him a shout.
Yeah, he revolutionized the like Johnny Unitas is basically why we have quarterbacks the way we have them today. He revolutionized the quarterback position. He also was the first quarterback to ever pull a 2-minute drive, and he was he was a 3-time NFL champion and 1-time Super Bowl champion. 3-time MVP.
He won 4 titles.
He won 4 titles, 3 MVPs, 10 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pros. So, I mean, he was at the time that he played, he was by far and away the best player, and after he was still probably widely recognized as the GOAT for a while after he played. Yeah. He basically invented the modern quarterback position. So I think it is perfectly acceptable to have him at 4. That is not why him was not what I was saying about old bias. I was saying old biased for having having Rodgers as low as I did. That's what I meant for old biased.
That's absurd.
I think Johnny Unitas is completely acceptable at 4. Yeah. He played 18 years with the Colts, Baltimore Colts, Indianapolis Colts, whatever.
Baltimore at the time.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean his stats aren't totally eye popping, but he also played when football was not basically 2-handed touch.
What's she barking at?
But yeah, I mean, like I said, though, you got 10 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pros, which that's really impressive. 5 All-Pros is very impressive.
Yeah, who's he competing with? Joe from down the street?
Dude, they were great players.
This is like the old head conversation when you're talking about basketball.
Do you think that the NFL was just full of a bunch of slouches back when he played?
Kind of.
It absolutely was not.
The competition was way worse.
It was also
not even comparable.
Yeah, and it was also tackle football. Nowadays, you touch the quarterback, it's a flag.
It doesn't.
Oh, it matters. Oh, it matters. They were great. You think any of us could have walked out there back then and played in the NFL?
No, but
Yeah, the NFL is not full of slouches. Johnny Unitas is an all-time great in most people's eyes. I saw this on almost every list I looked at.
Yeah, I did too.
So, I got him at 4 here.
Yeah, he won, like you said, 3 MVPs, and then
His resume is just as impressive as some of these other guys on here.
to put into retrospect, this is a stat. So he, in 2023, the league leader in passing touchdowns was Dak Prescott, who had 36 in 17 games. Johnny Unitas had 32 in 12 games in his MVP season.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I saw Johnny Unitas on a lot of lists.
He invented
I-
the modern
I didn't
quarterback.
put him on there, but he was going to be my honorable mention, just
yeah,
missed the cut.
he's in my honorable mentions. He's
But
just
I saw him on a lot of lists. I don't really know much about him because he played in the 50s. So I have never really seen him play or anything. So
We haven't seen half these guys play.
no, I know, but at least it's
There's
hard.
film on the other
It's
guys.
hard to.
There's also Phil. I
there
sat
is
down
film.
when I made this list and watched the
There's-
video on Johnny Unitas
there's
leading a game-winning or a game-tying drive in a championship,
Yeah.
and they proceeded to win the game in overtime. I sat down and watched.
there's
the
there's film. All right,
Go for it.
all right.
Oh, here we go.
I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off. Patrick Mahomes is number
Here we
4. I'm just he is. You're lucky I didn't. I was tempted to put him higher. To be truthfully honest with you,
And that's recency bias.
the only argument that you can possibly have against him is, he hasn't played long enough. Okay,
It's a valid argument.
he's gonna play more, barring early retirement or major injury. He's on pace to shatter everything that Tom Brady has.
On pace. On pace.
Yeah. Okay, he can throw for probably 3,000 yards
not
per
even
season the rest of his
30.
career. That's what I'm saying. He already has the best 7-year stretch by any quarterback ever, including Tom Brady. It's not even close. 3-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP, 5,000-yard season, 50-yard passing touchdowns,
6 straight AFC champions.
6 straight AFC championship games. My dad grew up. He didn't grow up, but he lived through the '90s Bulls. He told me that he has not seen an athlete in any sport that has a similar I hate to be like a TikTok brain rot guy, but a similar aura about them that Michael Jordan had with the Bulls and just the Bulls throughout the '90s. Even during the Patriots dynasty, there were years where he was like, "Nah, the Patriots just don't have it."
That's a foul take.
He said that the Chiefs are the first team since then where he's like, until I see a team beat them, I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl every year. And I'm very tempted to join him on that bandwagon. Who's beating them right now? They won the Super Bowl with Rashee Rice as their best receiver, future felon Rashee Rice as their best receiver, and got better.
However, they did have the best tight end of all time.
I mean, yeah, and also one of the best head coaches. But
And a very, very good defense.
very, very. I mean, yeah, but Tom Brady had that throughout his entire career.
He had all 3.
Yeah, Tom Brady had all 3 of those
I'm
things.
just saying, I can't put him in the top 5 with guys that have cemented their entire career and entire legacy.
Yeah, but Patrick Mahomes is going to cement it.
So then let's
not-
do that when he does.
If you fast forward this 10 years from now, and I'm positive he will be higher than number 4.
yeah, he'll probably be in the
He'll be
2 or
like
3.
number 2, probably, if not number 1.
If he wins,
Not number 1, but he'll be in the 2 or
We'll
3.
see, man.
he's
Okay, here's the thing. So the Brady Mahomes argument, it's like the Jordan LeBron, okay?
It's gonna be
no
like
one's
LeBron.
ever going to come to a conclusion on Jordan LeBron, but Brady and Mahomes, the luxury here is that those two guys actually have faced each other, and Brady won. Brady came out on top
I understand that, but look at
by a lot.
the teams that they had. Patrick Mahomes in 2020
Had Tyreek Hill, had
Patrick-
had Travis Kelce,
Patrick
had
Mahomes
Andy
is a-
Reid, had a great defense.
Patrick Mahomes' offensive line was literally turnstiles. Did you watch?
Yeah, I
Super Bowl
watched it. It
55,
was a bad
man?
offensive line, but he also had Tyreek Hill. He had Travis Kelce. He had all those other guys I just named.
It is not Patrick Mahomes' fault that they did not beat Tom Brady. And he should have beat Tom Brady in 2018 if Dee Ford wasn't an idiot. Tom Brady literally had a season-ending turnover that was called back to Dee Ford lining up offsides. That's not Patrick Mahomes' fault. Patrick Mahomes does not play defense.
I'm just saying Brady did it twice.
With a god-tier head coach and a god-tier defense.
Not the one.
They scored 13 points in the Super Bowl and got away with it. Again! The second time they did that.
Not the one.
And got away with it. Every single Super Bowl Patrick Mahomes has been to, he's been by far the best player on the field. Not even close. Not even close. Actually, no, that's not true. Jalen Hurts was close in 2022. Jalen Hurts played very well. But Patrick Mahomes played like top 5 quarterback game ever in the Super Bowl that year. I'm not waiting for Patrick Mahomes to play X amount of years to put him higher. He's going to have the counting stats, barring like his knee falling off, which I don't think is going to happen. Is there some wood I can knock on?
My question is, why do you like him so much?
I don't like him so much. I just respect what he's done.
I like him and respect.
The wood has been pounded.
I like Patrick Mahomes, and I respect Patrick Mahomes, but I'm just wondering why you like him. I mean, you're not a Chiefs fan. Like, I'm just wondering why you ride him so hard.
I'm just not waiting X amount of... Because the only question that people have is, he has to play more. He's going to play more.
Valid. I think that's valid.
It's like, you've seen him play. You know he's like a top 2 quarterback ever based on just the eye test. If not number 1. He's got the moxie. He's got the rocket arm. He's got the leadership. He's got the decision making. He doesn't turn the ball over.
See, I like Patrick Mahomes because I like what he says himself about this argument. He literally says, I'm nowhere close to Brady. I've only played 7 years. He literally has said that. And that's another reason why I like him, because he doesn't suck himself off. Like, he literally says, I am nowhere close to being the GOAT. I've only played 7 years. He himself said that.
I can disagree with Patrick Mahomes.
About himself?
I don't think he's close to the GOAT. I don't have him I have him number 4.
You are going to disagree with him about himself.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
I can disagree with people on opinions. That's not like... I think Patrick Mahomes would be like, awesome, I appreciate the support.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
I
I love Patrick Mahomes. I really enjoy watching him play.
I don't think it's
just too early.
I don't think if I went up to Mahomes and be like, hey, I think you're the 4th greatest quarterback of all time, he'd be like, you're an idiot. I hate you. I don't think he would do that.
He wouldn't do that if you told him he's the 100th best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, I'm not...
You could say he sucks, and he would still be like, all right, whatever.
The only argument against Patrick Mahomes in all-time arguments is he hasn't played enough, and he's going to play more.
Which is a totally valid all-time argument to have right now.
He's going to play more, so I'm not waiting on...
If we have this conversation in 10 years, then it's a different conversation.
Yeah, if it's a conversation in 10 years, he could make an argument to be number 1, to be truthfully honest with you. That's a conversation for a decade down the line.
That's a conversation that you can have yourself because you love him so much.
All right. So I will do that.
We'll leave that there.
I have Patrick Mahomes at number 4. He's got the play style of Aaron Rodgers with the postseason success to back it up, and he's only going to add to it over the next decade and a half. Quarterbacks are playing till they're in their mid-40s nowadays, so there's no reason to believe that he won't shatter every single record book, every single record feasibly imaginable, apart from maybe rings. He might not get to 7.
He's not getting to 7.
He's won 3 in 7 years. He plays 15. He's going to easily...
Do you realize how hard it is to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I know how hard it is.
7?
I know how hard it is. He's already like...
And he doesn't need to get... He has to get 8.
No, he doesn't.
8 Super Bowls. Do you think that anyone will ever even sniff 7? No.
I think he could very easily... If he just does what he did again over the next 7 years, he's at 6.
If anyone can, it's him. But that... I'm not holding my breath for that.
We'll see. And I don't even think he needs to get 8 rings. I think if he gets 5 or 6 and shatters every single record you could possibly imagine,
then you'll say he's the GOAT. Yeah, you'll say he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So,
which you already say he is, though.
Yeah, I definitely did that one time.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, I have Mahomes at number 4. I think it's valid. That's all I have to really say about that.
It's invalid, but okay.
All right.
Well, I also have him at 4.
Yeah, would you look at that?
Nick kind of said everything. He's only going to get better. He already since he stepped foot as a starter in the NFL, he has not missed an AFC Championship game, which is insane. He won a Super Bowl this year, and his team wasn't even really that good.
He had Marquez Valdez-Scantling as his wide receiver 2 and won a Super Bowl.
And he dominated. Now I'm not going to the extent where he's pushing GOAT status right now. I'm not going to that extent.
Say that.
But I mean, and he got drafted in what, 2017?
Sat for a year.
So he's played in the league for 6 years. He's made the Pro Bowl all 6 years. 2-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time MVP, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, and he already has 28,424 yards, 219 touchdowns. I mean, I think if he wins another Super Bowl, he's probably already at 2.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't. Yes,
You're
time.
gonna put him at 2 after one more Super Bowl.
Then he's matching Joe Montana, who has the second.
Would he be tied for second most Super Bowls in
He would
NFL
be
history?
tied for his second most.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he would
Through
have
8 years.
He would have 4. I don't know. I mean, and like you said, eye test. He's probably one of the most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen. He makes throws that I cannot believe he can even happen, and he's willed he willed his team this past year to a championship.
Past 2 years.
Past 2 years, and he's on the I'm pretty sure, aren't they the favorite right now to
They should be.
to
If they're
repeat? So
not,
he's a favorite to three-peat.
which has never been done
Which has
in the
never
Super Bowl
happened.
era.
If he three-peats, that's insane.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he three-peats this year, that's something that Brady never did. It's three-peat in the Super Bowl.
I'm not
Or in
putting
the
him at
Super Bowl
1 if he
era.
3-peats.
Well, yeah, I know
I'm not putting him
that,
at 1
but
if he three-peats. But that's like you said, it's very difficult to win Super Bowls, and if he wins 3 straight, that's absurd. So I think 4 is valid. Which is just attests to how great of a quarterback he already is, and he's only going to get better, and he's only going to get higher on this list if he continues on the track that he's going. And like we all said, if he were to retire today, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer immediately.
yeah, I will say it is interesting because, I mean, obviously Brady, through his first 5 years of the league, he won 3 Super
then he
Bowls in
went on a
4 years.
drought.
And then there was a decade where he didn't win a single ring because of lack of defense, or not really lack of defense, but just
Eli
bad
Manning.
luck. Eli Manning for 2 of those times. Yeah, he just didn't win a Super Bowl. So I think, because Travis Kelce's, 34? He's probably got another year or 2 left of truly elite production. He kind of fell off in the regular season last year,
Yeah, he
truthfully.
did.
But then the playoffs came around, and he was the Travis Kelce that we all knew. So he's probably got another year or 2 left of elite production, I would say. After he leaves, it will be interesting to see if Mahomes can keep up that level of success, or if he has another 8-year period like Brady did where he doesn't win anything. Me personally, I hope that's the case because I'd like to see other teams have success.
Same.
But I would not shock me at all if he just has the Michael Jordan effect.
He's
where
not going to dominate every year.
He just keeps
Like,
winning.
it's just he's not going to. There's no way he's going to dominate every single year he's in the league.
I feel like we've said this for the past 2 years, though. We see the roster he has, and we're like, "There's no way the Chiefs are winning," and then they end up winning. And then this year he doesn't have any receivers, and we're like, "The Chiefs aren't winning the Super Bowl." Then he won the Super Bowl.
I just don't think it is reasonable by any sense of the word that he is the best. He dominates for 20 years straight.
He's not worse than Johnny Unitas.
There's just
He's not going to win 20 straight Super
He's not going to win 20
Yeah,
straight
like-
Super Bowls.
But I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 10 to 15 years he racks
4 more.
2 or 3 more. I could see him get to 5.
I think he's easily going to get to 5 over the rest of his career. That's only 2 more rings. You think he's not going to win 2 rings in the next 10 to 15 years? Like, come on now.
As long as it's him and Andy Reid.
Yeah. As long as it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, the Chiefs should be top 3 Super Bowl contender for the rest of their career.
He showed he doesn't. I mean, he's had a great defense for those couple.
First time ever.
Yeah, but
he
I
won
mean,
the Super
he showed
Bowl.
he doesn't have to have an insane offensive cast to be really good.
All right. Enough about Patrick Mahomes.
Do you know what's funny? Is I debated
Not
3 and
enough,
4
that's
for a
close.
long time,
3 and 4.
and if I would have gone what my go-to thought was, would have pissed you off horribly.
I think I know who you have at 3 then.
Were you seriously gonna put Mahomes at 3?
I was debating it.
Evan, what in the world?
Hey, I'm not even joking you. I looked at probably 10 lists, and 3 or 4 of them had him at 3.
That's absurd.
I was debating it.
All right.
But I didn't want
If
to
you would
invalidate
have did that, I would have probably left the podcast.
I didn't want to invalidate myself.
Speaking-
Well, you already have.
Who,
but if you
who
did
do you
that,
have at number 3?
we have the same guy at number 3. All of us do.
I have Peyton
except for
Manning
maybe
at
you.
number 3.
I also have Peyton Manning at number 3.
I mean, I know you don't, but it's so close between 2 and 3. But 14-time Pro Bowl.
2 and 3 is close. Yeah.
14-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 5-time MVP. That's what puts him up. 5-time MVP, that's the most MVPs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Super Bowl MVP, basically 72,000 career passing yards, 538 touchdowns.
Also, the NFL touchdown record single season with 55, which is very impressive.
Yes. I mean,
After career-threatening neck surgery.
Yes. And he came back and won another Super Bowl after that, too. With another team.
Yeah,
He is one of 2 players, I'm pretty sure, all-time, quarterback-wise, to win
Yeah,
Super
it's
Bowl
him
with
and Tom
another
Brady.
team. Yeah.
Those are the only 2.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, obviously, phenomenal quarterback. Yeah, like you said, in 2013, he threw for 5,477 yards and 55
Yeah, he had a heck
touchdowns
of
and
a
won an MVP. Yeah, his resume stacks up with the best, and you know everyone likes Peyton Manning. You can't hate Peyton Manning, but like the 2 and 3 is splitting hairs, but I gave the edge to.
Yeah, 2 and 3 is tough, I will say. But I am very, very happy that
But
you
like
didn't.
you having him at 2, I am not like, oh my gosh. Like,
It's fair. It's fair.
I understand.
Yeah, I think that's. I have Joe Montana at number 3. That's probably who you guys have at number 2. And then I have Peyton Manning at number 2. The reason why I give Peyton Manning the edge is Peyton Manning had way less support than Joe Montana. Joe Montana played with arguably the best football player ever in Jerry Rice.
I don't know if it's arguable.
A top
honestly.
3 head coach ever in Bill Walsh, who revolutionized the way offenses ran. And an all-time great defense. No disrespect to Joe Montana, but Joe Montana's rosters were loaded throughout the 80s. To be quite honest, if you told me about all the guys he had, I would expect him to do what he did. Joe Montana, obviously a great quarterback. He wasn't as durable in the regular season. I put a lot less emphasis on postseason success because, especially in the NFL, the postseason is a one and done. Like, it's not like the NBA or the NHL or the MLB where 90% of the time the better team is going to win in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
Because it's a best of 7, not a one-off game.
Yeah.
In the NFL, like, your offensive line doesn't show up, your receivers drop passes, you can't stop the run, you go home, and it alters your legacy. It's not like that in all the other sports where you can have a bad game and get away with it. You just got to come back stronger. I will say this about Peyton Manning. With number 2, Joe Montana, obviously, he was, until the 2000s, easily the greatest quarterback of all time. 4-time Super Bowl champion. Hold on, let me pull up the stats. I know he was 4-time Super Bowl champion. Give me
He won 4.
second.
Montana won 4.
He did win 4. 40,000. He only had 40,500 passing yards, but he was an 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 2-time NFL MVP, 4-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time Super Bowl MVP. Also, his 1989 season is absurd. He threw 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the playoffs in 1989. Like, when you talk about all-time great quarterback seasons, 89 Joe Montana is the only one that checks off all the boxes.
Yeah.
Great regular season, won MVP, dominant postseason, won the Super Bowl, won Super Bowl MVP. The Niners in 1989 won their 3 playoff games by a combined 100 points, including a 45-point drubbing of the Broncos in the Super Bowl. That is absurd. We'll probably never see that again, to be truthfully honest with you.
At that level of
Yeah,
dominance,
it
probably
will
not.
probably never happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Montana, obviously, phenomenal quarterback. I give Peyton Manning the edge because I think performing consistently in the regular season is way harder than having a good postseason run with the rosters that Joe Montana had. Peyton Manning is the most valuable player in NFL history. He is. Here, when I say that, here's what
You
I
are
mean.
a Colts fan.
When I say that, here's what I mean. When Tom Brady tore his ACL in
I will
2000,
hear it.
when Tom Brady tore the ACL in 2008, the Patriots went 11-5 without him. And the only reason they didn't make the playoffs is by a fluke. The AFC was just stacked that year. They won
What year was that?
2008.
Yeah, so that was they had the team that they went.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, though.
He did it for 20 years without that team,
No.
though.
Listen. When Tom Brady went down, they won 11-5. The only reason they didn't make the playoffs is because they're one of only 2 teams in NFL history to miss the playoffs after winning 11 or more games by a fluke occurrence. That team was a playoff caliber team. When Peyton Manning had neck surgery in 2011, the Colts went 2-14.
Yeah,
They bottomed out. They were worthless without him. They were so bad that they moved on from Peyton Manning and drafted Andrew Luck because they knew that they weren't going to waste the rest of Peyton Manning's career with the dog crap roster that they had. They had nobody. They drafted Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton in the same year. And the thing with Tom Brady is they could get away. The Patriots could get away with Tom Brady playing like crap because of their defense and their run game. If Peyton Manning did not play well, the Colts had no chance of winning. Zero chance of winning. The Colts relied entirely on Peyton Manning's right arm. Also, Peyton Manning, not just 2013, where he broke every single statistical record you could possibly imagine for a quarterback, apart from completion percentage. 2004, he did the same thing. He threw 49 touchdown passes, which was an NFL record. I think he was like second all time in passing yards in the season, like second all time in completion percentage, yada yada yada. But then they lost to the Patriots in the divisional round because it was in New England and he didn't have any support. His receivers dropped a bunch of passes.
Peyton Manning's a great player, and I'm not even going to disagree with any of that. But like, dude, if we're taking one player, I'm taking Brady.
Well, I'm not saying that he's. It's not saying if you're going to take one player. I'm saying that Peyton Manning means the most to his team of any quarterback ever. The Patriots did not have Tom Brady for 1 year during his prime and still went 11-5. Like, they were still a good team without Tom Brady. When the Colts didn't have Peyton Manning
the
for 1 year...
The Patriots don't even get anywhere close to 6 Super Bowls.
Well, obviously, no, I know that. The Colts don't get any of their success without Peyton Manning. I'm not saying that the Patriots would have still had the same success had they not had Tom Brady. I'm saying that Peyton Manning meant more to his team than Tom Brady did to the Patriots.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with that.
All right.
But I'll let you go.
All right, well, yeah, so you said you're 2.
I think we've all said our 2 and 3 here.
Yeah, but yeah, ours are both Joe Montana. Perfect record in the Super Bowl, 4-0.
That is really
which
impressive.
is really impressive. And yeah, he played in the 80s, which was stacked. And what is interesting is he won his first 2 titles without Jerry Rice, because Jerry Rice didn't join the team until 1985. So he won half of his titles without the best player. So that does help his case a little bit. But yeah, his stats aren't anything to like write home about. 4,551 passing yards, 273 touchdowns. But like you said, he was the best. He was the GOAT before like the 2000s era. He was the clear cut GOAT, and I mean, Joe Cool led the 49ers dynasty. Yeah, he was insane. Yeah, in 1989, I think that was what you said. 78%. He completed 78% of his passes for 800 yards with 11 touchdowns and no interceptions, and a 146.4 passer rating in the postseason.
That's absurd. That is by far the most dominant postseason any quarterback has ever
He also took the Kansas City Chiefs to their first AFC Championship game since the merger in
He did do
1993.
that. It's true. And then Tom Brady did the same thing, except he won a Super Bowl.
I forgot that he played for the
Yeah, he ended his career.
Chiefs. I forget that he did.
Yeah, I still think his resume holds pretty highly, but
As the 2.
and then we all have the same one.
Yeah.
If you don't have the
If
person,
you don't have Tom Brady at number 1, your list is invalid.
Which you both scare me.
I haven't said anything about him rivaling Tom Brady.
You
I said he could get to 2. That doesn't mean he
mainly
could get to 1.
you are this close. For
I
being
agree with
invalid.
you because he beat him in the Super Bowl. That means something.
And the AFC Championship when Mahomes hosted it.
Shouldn't have happened, though.
But
it did.
the guy
But
who is getting his jersey retired.
You know what else shouldn't have happened? Aaron Donald shouldn't have ran through our glass door offensive line, but it did.
Not at all
But
the
it
same-
did.
It's not at all the same thing. The play literally happened where Tom Brady threw a season-ending turnover, and then it got called back by something Patrick Mahomes has zero control over. He doesn't play defense. He's not a defensive coordinator. He can't tell D Ford, hey, take 2 steps back, please.
We're not going to go into this debate again. But Tom Brady, the player who's getting his jersey retired here soon, getting a statue in
He already got
Foxborough.
retired, actually.
He did?
Last night, he
Oh,
was
it was-
inducted
it
into the
was
Patriots
last night.
Hall of Fame.
He's getting a statue soon.
It's like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
That should-
Well, in 4 more years, he's going to be in the actual Hall of Fame.
yeah.
You should have the statue made out of gold and a bodyguard protecting it 24/7.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
what should happen.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean-
glad, you're speaking something with a little bit of sense now.
Yeah.
I mean, 15-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 7-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time MVP, 5-time Super Bowl MVP. Played 335 games his career, 89,214 passing yards, 649 touchdowns. I mean, comparing this to like NBA terms, like the LeBron and Jordan debate is, Jordan has the rings, LeBron has the stats, Brady has the rings and the stats. So I kind of cements him as, like you said, I don't think anybody's ever going to win 7 Super Bowls. I don't because Tom
It
Brady
ain't gonna happen.
played for a long, long time and he was elite that entire time. And yeah, I mean, he almost has 100,000 career passing yards.
Yeah.
Which is absurd. Like who's second? Second most is
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
He passed Drew Brees by almost 1,000. Like, and when did
By almost
Drew
10,000.
Brees? What?
It's almost 10,000. He has 89,000 passing
Oh,
yards. Drew
yeah,
Brees is
sorry.
80,000.
Sorry, yeah.
He played
10,000.
like 2 more years than Drew Brees did.
Yeah, because Drew Brees he retired in 2020,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Brady retired in 2023. Two.
It was after the 2022 season, so
yeah.
early in 2023.
Yeah, he played 2 more.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really tough to dethrone. I think Patrick Mahomes he's the only one that I can see giving him a run for his money, but I don't think it's going to be I don't think anybody's ever going to dethrone Tom Brady.
No.
I mean, he's got the stats, he's got the championships. You can't argue with any.
He's also I think we should also give him some recognition as being an absolute dog.
Yeah,
Agreed.
agreed.
Beyond the stats and the winning, very few people in this world have that mentality that he had.
It's
Tom Brady is very honestly one of the last great real football players.
This generation, with social media and all
most
that.
people these days, even most of the professional athletes these days, they just don't have that same mentality towards them. Like quarterbacks now, like Mahomes and quarterbacks nowadays are throwing for these ungodly numbers and stuff, and they're getting away with bad throws, and they're getting away with ungodly numbers because you can't play defense anymore. Tom Brady threw for almost 100,000 yards, most of that being still at a time where you could play defense in the NFL. You had to make a good throw, or else your receiver's going to the hospital.
You could hit, yeah.
And the quarterback could get actually hurt and hit and put on the ground. Tom Brady
Tom Brady got, I think it was against the Jets in 2001. He scrambled, got just drilled, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm never doing that again." They did throw a flag on that play, but if you've seen the hit, it is vicious.
It's not like you.
I would hope so.
Yeah, it was reasonable. Today, it's a little unreasonable sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
And I have yet to see a player in the NFL that just has that same type of dog that he has. It's really just
Might not happen for a long time.
watching him play is something that I truly miss, and it's only been a year not seeing it. I am a humongous Tom Brady fan. I just respect the crap out of him for the type of person he is, the type of work ethic, and just the dog that he's got, and what he accomplished. Win stat-wise, undoubtable GOAT, will never be topped. He is one of the last great football players of that
2000.
Yeah, it's just you don't have that.
He's got
You don't see the type of breed that he was. They don't make him anymore. Seriously, they don't.
Boomer.
They do not make that breed anymore.
Here's what I will say about Tom Brady. He has the LeBron counting stats combined with the Jordan mentality. That is deadly.
Yeah.
That is a crossover.
It won't be topped.
Yeah, I'm on record saying, because I don't think Tom Brady obviously the GOAT, right? But I hear a lot of people talking about him as this destroyer of worlds and stuff. I've been on record saying that I don't think he's that good. I will say this though. He is number one. He is, without a doubt, when you talk about nut crunching time,
Oh yeah.
this dude got it done almost every single time. if there's one quarterback right now that I would want to lead a game-winning drive, it's Tom Brady without hesitation.
Yeah,
This
I
article
wouldn't.
says
I wouldn't pick anyone else. They
for
wouldn't
his
even close.
overall tenacity and ability in the clutch, just ask the Falcons how safe it is to get a lead on this guy.
It's just
I mean, how?
I don't even want to.
He was down by 25 points in the third quarter of the Super Bowl.
Still should have lost that game.
I don't care if he should have lost that game. I don't care.
Well,
he did not lose that game.
Well, it's one of those things where like he gets the ball in the fourth quarter and you're like, oh well, game's over. Like,
I mean, he's just.
If it's a one-score game and he can take the lead, you're like, this guy's.
I have just never seen anything like him.
Yeah, now.
Like when he has the ball.
Not to that extent, though. It's still not to that level.
No, but like
I have seen Patrick Mahomes lose in the clutch.
yes,
Tom Brady, I can count less than. I can't even. I can't think of a time.
Especially like his second half of his career. Like Tom Brady has like 3 separate Hall of Fame careers.
Yeah, he does.
Like his first
even that 10-year stretch where he didn't win any.
he
That's
had
still
the
a Hall of
counting
Fame
stats.
career.
That was his best
That was his
period in
best
terms
period,
of counting
yes.
stats.
Yeah, he has 3 Hall of Fame.
That's when he
careers.
won most of his
Yeah.
MVPs. That's when he
Yeah.
had that 07 season, which they went 16
16-0, yeah.
one game away from immortality. Shout out Eli Manning.
Yeah, he quite literally has 3 Hall of Fame
and
resumes.
Plexico Burress.
Yeah.
Shout out what's his name, Tyree Smith or
Tyree Smith or whatever. his name
Shout
is.
out the helmet catch.
thank you for that.
But
Thank you for the helmet catch. Thank you for all of that.
But like no,
That'd be insufferable if we had to hear about that today.
but like I mean seriously though, it's like I can tell you, I can name you at least one time right now. I can name you at least one just right off the dome that I remember seeing Patrick Mahomes lose
It
in
was
the clutch
against
moment.
your team.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah, but like Tom Brady, I can't name you one. Like off the, I mean, I know he has, but like just right off the top of my dome, I can't name you a time he lost in the
He's
clutch.
the most clutch player ever.
Yeah.
It's not a debate. At all.
Yes. Like this guy, game on the line, just
game over.
game over.
I mean,
There's like
phenomenal player.
I'd say there's probably a 90% chance he's going to come through.
Well, and he didn't always have the greatest of weapons.
He had 58 game-winning drives.
Like he made a Kent State quarterback,
Yeah, we gotta talk about that too.
a
Like,
lacrosse player,
yeah,
and a bunch of short white guys, Hall of Famers or consecutive 1,000-yard receivers.
yeah, and
They are not
and you're-
Hall of Famers.
And you're gonna Edelman might be.
No, they're not.
Edelman
There's
might be.
no chance.
And you're gonna sit here and tell me that it's that impressive
If
that
Julian
Mahomes did
Edel-
it with Rashee Rice and those guys.
If
Look at
Julian-
what Brady did it
if
with.
Julian, I'm not,
Take out his great defense and take out the Randy Moss Patriots team.
Brady
Like,
had a great defense through his whole career.
and
But, I mean,
Mahomes had
take
a
out
great
Randy
Mahomes had
Moss.
a great defense this year. If we're just comparing offenses, it ain't much different, man.
that's fair.
Brady took, like Evan said, a bunch of short white guys and won 7 titles.
I'm not saying it's not impressive that Brady did that, but if Julian Edelman makes the Hall of Fame, I'm discrediting the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
There is no chance Julian Edelman is a Hall of Famer. No
know,
chance. I will say this about Julian Edelman.
His playoff
He's
resume is
an
very
exceptional
impressive.
route runner.
Yeah,
Now he's
I will say
always
this
open.
about Julian Edelman. Every single time they needed a 15-yard completion in the playoffs, that guy was always open. Always wide open.
Why is he not a Hall of Famer?
He does not have the numbers. Not even close.
His
I'll
playoff,
put up
his
his- I'll-
playoff resume is pretty impressive.
I understand his playoff resume is pretty impressive.
He's also a
but
3-time Super Bowl champion and a 1-time MVP Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
unfortunately, he's not the main factor as to why they won Super Bowls.
No, I'm just saying, like
If it was like
he
the
has
Hall
a
of
storied
Fame,
career. He has a storied
He is
career.
a Super Bowl MVP. I don't really count that, considering it was the 13-3.
You can't not count that. It's still a dang game that was played and won.
Julian Edelman only had 2 seasons where he had 1,000+ receiving yards. He has less than 7,000 receiving yards for his entire career.
I'm not
He is
saying
not a
he's,
Hall of
I'm not
Famer.
saying he's going to be. I'm just saying that I wouldn't hate it if he was.
His postseason, he only has 5 receiving touchdowns in the postseason for his entire. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, only 5 for his entire career.
How many yards does he have?
He has like 1,400 yards for his career, which is pretty
So
solid.
he has a
for
lot of
postseason
yards.
receiver,
Like
but
he wasn't a touchdown machine, but he was always open.
that guy was always open in the postseason. Also, he had that catch against the Falcons in Super Bowl 51, which after he made that catch, I knew devil magic was at play.
That is probably
That was
the
an
best
insane
catch that I've ever seen.
It's so unbelievably stupid that even happened.
I
We're
just,
not gonna get it.
I love how much of a Mahomes guy you are, and I just love that, like,
Well,
You
and
can't stand
also,
Brady. Like, I love
here's
that.
the thing. I've talked to you about this numerous times. When Brady was having his heyday, if he didn't exist, the Colts would have been the dynasty of the 2000s. The Colts were the best team in the 2000s. Kind of like right now, when Mahomes is having his heyday, if Mahomes didn't exist, there's a very good chance that the Bengals would be one of the teams of the dynasty of the 2020s. Because they would have made they lost Super Bowl.
We are still the Bengals.
I know, but they would have won the Super Bowl in. No, they still made the Super Bowl in 2021. They would have made the Super Bowl again in 2022. And if Burrow doesn't get hurt, they could have made the Super Bowl again this past year. Like, you all are going to not like Patrick Mahomes because he screwed over your team for 20 years.
Patrick Mahomes is not the reason we got screwed. We already ran through him one of the 2 times we met him in the playoffs.
And the Colts ran through Tom Brady one of the few times they met in the playoffs in 2006.
I'm just
They
saying.
beat him there.
I'm just saying, we've only ran into him twice in the playoffs, and we beat him once already. The other time, we would have if Tyler Boyd doesn't go down. The third time, we weren't even in the playoffs. Burrow was hurt the whole year.
Yeah.
So,
We'll see how many more times the Bengals play the Chiefs, because I don't think...
it's going to be a lot.
I don't think it's as slam
Mahomes
dunk
and
of
Burrow.
a future rivalry as you think it is.
Mahomes and Burrow is like the Brady and Manning of today's
That's
age.
blasphemous.
That
to
is
boast
not
Tom
blasphemous
Brady and
at
Peyton
all.
Manning.
That is not blasphemous at all. That like the Bengals and the Chiefs is that rivalry in the NFL.
it's not.
Oh yes, it is. What is?
There is
What
no,
is?
There is none of it.
Yes, there is.
It doesn't exist.
Yes, it does.
No, you cannot tell me that Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or whoever the hell you want to put in there holds a candle to Peyton Manning. Not even close.
Peyton. I'm not talking about Peyton Manning.
You said Burrow and Brady is the Mahomes you said
that
Burrow,
rivalry.
Burrow and Mahomes is the Brady and Manning of this generation.
It is.
Like the rivalry.
That rivalry. I'm not saying that Mahomes is Brady. I spent a half hour saying he's not. I'm not saying Burrow's Manning. He's not. That rivalry is this generation's.
We'll see. There's a lot more time that needs to be played before we.
Yeah, and there's a lot more time that needs to be played before you put Mahomes at 2 or 3.
Well, I'm not worried about
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes
yeah.
not doing crap for the rest.
Am I
of his
wrong
career.
about that, Evan?
About what?
Brady and Burrow and Mahomes is this generation's Brady and Manning rivalry.
I think it could be.
It is.
Yeah, it could be.
Like
if they play,
it just
if they
is.
play a few more times in
only
high
played-
leverage situations.
They've only played.
And
twice.
I'm sorry to.
If it's going to be anyone,
No one else has even contested him other than Burrow.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm sorry to burst you guys' bubble, but I don't think it's a slam dunk that the Bengals get.
I'm
back
not
to-
saying it's a
the
slam
Bengals
dunk.
get back to their success that they had. Like I think.
Well, you're also a known Burrow and
I'm
Bengals
not
hater.
a known Burrow and Bengals hater.
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
are.
realistic.
No, you are. But Burrow is the only one that has stood in his way. Every other quarterback he's ran through. Your little Lamar Jackson homosexual relationship, he ran right through him multiple times.
Sexual relationship. They played.
Josh Allen
They played. Josh
ran right through him.
Josh Allen, he's ran right through. I feel bad for
Ran
Josh
right.
Allen.
I do feel bad for Josh
Josh
Allen.
Allen's got ran through by Burrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
So
bad
I
for
mean,
Josh, and it
like,
hasn't been his fault either most of the time. I feel bad for Josh Allen.
so I mean,
Again, the overtime rule screwed him.
That was so sad.
quite literally, like you said, Allen has been ran through by both of them.
Although I don't.
Burrow's the only one that has stood in Mahomes' way so far in his career, other than Tom Brady.
This is a completely separate topic.
Like-
This might be cut from the rest of it. But I feel the overtime rule screwing over Josh Allen. Yeah, okay. But the next game, the Bengals and Chiefs literally went to overtime, and guess what happened? The Bengals got to stop it and score the game-winning field goal to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the overtime
Maybe
rules-
Josh
those
Allen's
overtime rules.
defense shouldn't have given up a field goal in 13 seconds.
Yeah, because they played prevent defense.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Yeah.
It was so. Travis Kelce
Everyone who,
ran 30 yards without sniffing a play.
everyone who watched that
It was so
game,
stupid.
everyone who watched that game knew at the time whoever gets the ball first is going to win.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce caught the ball 30 yards from the line of scrimmage, and then 20 yards
They
before
lit-
the next guy sniffed him.
They literally
He got to the 20-yard line. After he was at the opposing 30.
They
I
literally
was so
played
mad.
backyard football. Travis Kelce literally gave Mahomes a nod and just ran a streak, and he just threw it immediately to him. There wasn't a bill within 15 yards.
They had the freaking all the corners in the end zone,
Yeah.
and all they did was a field goal. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It was foolish defensive scheme.
I was so mad.
I feel so bad for Josh Allen.
And then didn't Tyreek Hill have a big play?
Yeah,
Now
Tyreek Hill had a big
He
play.
got him in field goal range.
No. Tyreek Hill got them to the midfield. He ran a slant and took it to the sideline.
Yeah.
And then the play after, Kelsey ran for 15 yards. Got to 30. And then they kicked a field goal and then won the game. And then Travis Kelsey caught the touchdown in overtime. And then Josh Allen just sitting there on the bench just stone face. The
And then
1,000-yard
Stephon Diggs
stare.
watched the confetti.
No, that was the year before. But yeah, the 1,000-yard stare. Josh Allen had that.
Yeah.
After that,
It's
I
just
feel
the
so
Bills.
bad
The Bills
for him.
luck, man.
Yeah, I mean the Bills have always historically had horrendous luck.
This past year too, where the Bills outperformed the Chiefs in every statistical metric and still lost.
Yeah.
Literally won every single category you could think of, and they still lost by 3.
It's not all about the stats.
I know, but I'm just saying. I feel bad for.
It's
Josh
unfortunate.
Allen
It really
and
is.
Bills fans.
It
First,
is
they went
unfortunate.
to multiple straight Super
Yeah,
Bowls.
like the way that Colts fans feel about Tom Brady, Bengals and Bills fans are going to feel about Patrick Mahomes for the rest of their lives,
I agree.
and maybe Ravens fans, and maybe Texans fans, and it might just be the entire AFC. Truthfully, he's like Thanos.
Well, it's just one of those things where, they just win so much. You're like, all right, could someone please just beat them?
Yeah, at
It's
this
like
point.
the Warriors. They won so many times. Like, all right, guys,
I respect their success, but
please.
someone else,
And now
literally
we have, now
anyone
we have
else.
parity.
Apart from the Steelers and the Cowboys.
screw both
I
of you.
just like.
I would much rather see the Chiefs win than the Steelers or the Cowboys. The Steelers because I hate them.
I
The
agree
Cowboys
with
because
that.
it'd be hilarious to see them keep losing.
This is hard for me because I like Patrick Mahomes. I love his play style. I was on the Patrick Mahomes train before he had all this success. So I enjoy watching him play. But you make it so hard.
But you do agree that he
You
is,
make it so hard.
But you do agree that he is the main obstacle in the Bengals' way of going back to Super Bowls.
Yeah. But I also don't think he's some insurmountable I mean, we've already surmounted it once.
I don't think he's
Like-
insurmountable. I'm just like,
And I
Who's
do,
gonna beat
and I
him
do
right now?
also fully, firmly believe, even if I was a freaking Jaguars fan, I'd still say that Burrow.
Jaguars fans might hate him too. They got Trevor Lawrence.
I'm
I'm a
just,
Chargers fan. Justin Herbert's the best quarterback ever.
yeah, there we go.
Dude,
There we go. Once again, I'll return to my Chargers fandom for a second here. Burrow and Mahomes is still this generation's Manning and Brady.
We'll see.
And
I
the
think
reason
they
that
gotta-
is-
they got to play more.
Is because Burrow's the only one that's ever beat him, other than the GOAT.
Yeah. Are they playing the Chiefs this year? They're playing the Chiefs
Yes,
this
week
year,
2.
Oh yeah,
Arrowhead.
you're
They're
right.
gonna get
You're right.
destroyed.
We'll see.
We never start the season off good.
Well, if Joe Burrow would actually be healthy for once, it might be different.
Yeah, they might stand a fighting chance, but we'll see. Well, that's a different topic for
I'm
a
not
different day.
expecting anything crazy.
All right.
Oh, Evan.
It's week 2.
You gotta believe in your team a little more than that.
It's week 2.
I know, but as long as Burrow's healthy, like
Shoot, dude, week 2. It's week 2.
We can come back from a week 2 loss. Trust me.
well, yeah, I'm just saying,
We've
like,
done it before.
well, if we lose, then this guy's gonna be over here sitting here saying, "Oh," and it's like you don't want to hear that any more than we already do. Got to hear it.
All right, well, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know if you let us know what your thoughts on our lists were. If you
Don't cut that out.
if you thought that they were correct, if you would add players, or what were your guys' lists. Yeah, thank you all for watching. See you guys in the next one.